The message came just after midnight. No greeting. No hesitation. Just one sentence. "You're not really family," my sister wrote. "You're just the one we use." I stared at my phone until the screen went dark. I didn't reply. I never replied to messages like that. 3 hours later, my mother called. Her voice cracked before I even said hello. "Evelyn, listen to me," she said. "Your sister is in the hospital. It's bad. They need money right now. $48,500. I sat up in bed. "What happened?" I asked. "They said it's urgent surgery," she replied quickly. Too quickly. "If we don't pay, they won't take her in." I looked at the clock. 3:18 a.m. I've worked in emergency care for years. I know how hospitals operate. I know what's true and what isn't. In this country, doctors don't wait for payment when someone's life is on the line. They stabilize first. They document. They bill later. That rule exists for a reason. So when my mother kept repeating the number 48,500, I felt something settle in my chest. Not panic. Clarity. I used to be the daughter who never questioned anything. The one who sent money without asking why. The one who believed love was proven by sacrifice. But that version of me learned something painful over time. Real emergencies sound messy. They don't come with clean numbers. They don't come with rehearsed speeches. I took a slow breath. "Okay," I said softly. "I'll try to move the money." My mother exhaled in relief. "I knew I could count on you," she said. She didn't hear the shift in my voice. She didn't hear the moment I stopped being afraid. Because while she thought I was preparing to pay, I was preparing to confirm something far more important. And once I knew the truth, nothing would ever be the same. I stayed on the line, letting my silence do the work. "I'm trying to send it," I said finally, adding a shake to my voice. "But the bank app is blocking me. It's flagging the transfer." "What do you mean blocking?" my mother snapped. "It's too much money," I replied. "They've frozen it for fraud review." Her breath hitched, not with fear for my sister, but with irritation. Like an obstacle had appeared between her and something she already owned. "Well, fix it," she said. "Call them. Do whatever you have to do." I pretended to think. "There might be another way," I said slowly. "I can send it directly to the hospital. Emergency medical wires go through faster, but I need specific details." "What details?" she asked. "The doctor's full name," I replied. "The department. And the billing code for the procedure." There was a pause. Just half a second too long. "I don't have that," she said. "That's okay," I answered quickly, keeping my tone gentle. "Just ask. They'll give it to you." She hesitated again. "They're very busy," she said. "She's in pain." "I know," I said softly. "But if I get even one number wrong, the transfer will fail. Then she'll have to wait even longer." That did it. "Fine," my mother snapped. "I'll go ask. Don't hang up." The line went quiet. I listened to muffled sounds, voices, movement, a clatter that sounded nothing like a hospital ward. Then the call disconnected. I set my phone down and swung my legs out of bed. My hands weren't shaking. My breathing was steady. That's when I knew. If this were real, she would have stayed on the line. If this were real, she would have begged. Instead, she disappeared to collect details that shouldn't have been hard to get, but somehow were. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A voicemail. "I got it," my mother said, breathless. "Doctor's name, procedure, everything. I'll text you the account too." I saved the message. Because the moment she left evidence, this stopped being a family problem and became something else entirely. I didn't listen to the voicemail right away. I walked into the kitchen instead. Poured a glass of water. Drank it standing up, barefoot on cold tile. When I finally pressed play, my mother's voice filled the room. She sounded confident now. Too confident. She read off a doctor's name, a hospital department, a procedure code. Then she said the number again. $48,500. I saved the voicemail. Then I saved a backup. Because I knew something she didn't. When you ask someone for money and lie about a medical emergency, the lie itself matters. But when you leave a recorded message naming a procedure, an amount, and a destination, that's not just manipulation. That's documentation. I replayed the message once more, this time listening like a professional, not a daughter. The code she gave was real. Accurate, even. Which meant she hadn't spoken to a doctor. She'd searched for it. I checked the time. 3:42 a.m. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I put on my work clothes. The familiar fabric settled me. Routine has a way of clearing emotion from the body. As I tied my shoes, a memory surfaced uninvited. I was 16, sitting at the kitchen table with textbooks spread around me. My sister was crying about a dress she wanted. My mother stroked her hair, promising they'd figure it out. Then she turned to me. "You're different," she'd said. "You don't need much. You're strong." Strong meant dependable. Dependable meant disposable. I grabbed my keys. If my sister was truly in surgery, I would find her. If she wasn't, I would know within minutes. And once I knew the truth, I wouldn't argue about it. I started the car and pulled onto the empty road. The city was quiet at that hour. Streetlights blinking. Windows dark. As I drove toward the hospital they claimed she was in, one thought kept repeating in my mind. They believed I would panic. They believed I would pay first and ask questions later. They believed wrong. Because I wasn't going to send money. I was going to verify the patient. And whatever I found there would decide what happened next. The hospital parking lot was empty. Fluorescent lights flickered, reflecting off patches of ice. I parked in a spot reserved for staff, leaving the engine running. I stepped out and let the cold slap my face. It grounded me. Focused me. The automatic doors slid open and I entered. The antiseptic smell hit me first, sharp and familiar. Then the hum of machines and the quiet echo of the lobby. I felt at home. I also felt ready. I walked straight to the triage desk. Checking on a patient, I said, keeping my tone neutral. "Mia Henderson. Emergency abdominal surgery." The clerk typed rapidly. She frowned. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. No record of her being admitted today or yesterday," she said. Her voice was polite but final. I let that sink in. No admissions. No emergency. No hospital. I nodded slowly, as if this was the conclusion I expected all along. I asked to check the trauma log. Empty. Nothing. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just felt clarity. They hadn't gone to a hospital. They weren't worried about a procedure. This wasn't about saving anyone. It was about manipulating me. $48,500. A number rehearsed. A number calculated. I stepped back out into the cold, letting the silence of the city wrap around me. And then I remembered. The location app they'd forced me to install years ago. The one meant to keep the family safe. The one that tracked my every move. I opened it. 2 dots blinked on the map. They weren't at the hospital. They were somewhere else entirely. Somewhere indulgent. Somewhere expensive. Somewhere I didn't belong. I studied the dots. I took a breath. And I realized, with the cold precision of someone who had finally learned the rules. They thought they were in control. They thought I would panic. They were about to discover exactly how wrong they were. I didn't rush. I didn't call. I didn't honk or storm into their world. I watched from my car across the street. Floor-to-ceiling windows glinted under the city lights. Inside, they laughed. Raised glasses. Celebrating. Not a hospital. Not a crisis. Just luxury. Expensive steaks. Wine flowing like water. And my money, or at least what they thought was mine, about to fund it all. I leaned back, calm. Measured. They believed they had me cornered. They believed fear would make me submit. But I'd spent years learning the truth. The old Evelyn would have stormed in. Screamed. Pledged obedience. Done anything to appease them. Not anymore. I opened my bag. Pulled out the tools I'd need. Not weapons. Not threats. Documents. Legal leverage. Proof. The first step was simple. Confirm their indulgence. Confirm the lie. And then wait. I called a trusted contact at the bank. A professional favor earned years ago in the ER. The kind of favor you only call in once, and only for something serious. Conference room. Notary. "Now," I said. Her voice, still half asleep, hesitated. Then she agreed. Because she knew me. Because she trusted my judgment. Because she'd seen me handle life or death situations before, and I never failed. I waited in the empty bank parking lot. The sky began to lighten, bruised with the first hints of morning. The street was silent, except for the hum of my engine and the faint wind across the asphalt. I texted them. A message carefully crafted. Fraud alert blocked the wire. Meet me at the bank with IDs. They replied instantly. Grateful. Smug. Thinking they had won. They didn't realize yet that I had rewritten the rules. That the transaction they sought would not give them money. It would give me the only thing I wanted, control. And when they walked through that door, everything would change. They arrived together. Not rushed. Not worried. They smelled like expensive food and confidence when they walked into the conference room. My mother reached for the envelope on the table before she even sat down. I raised a hand. Before anything moves, I said calmly, we need to clear the fraud hold. Her smile tightened. I slid my phone across the table and pressed play. Her own voice filled the room. The doctor's name. The procedure. The amount. Silence followed. I placed a second folder on the table. Hospital admission logs. Time-stamped. Empty. No surgery, I said evenly. No admission. No emergency. My sister scoffed, but her eyes darted to my mother. My mother's hands trembled. Then I placed the final document down. A credit summary. Past due balances. The exact number they'd asked me for. $48,500. The room changed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I explained. Calmly. Precisely. What you attempted, I said, is documented. Recorded. And traceable. My mother started crying. My sister looked furious. My stepfather stared at the table like it might open and swallow him. I slid the agreement forward. One option, I said. You sign this. You take a smaller amount. And you leave my life permanently. They read it. No contact. No requests. No emergencies. No leverage. They signed. When they left, they didn't look back. I stayed seated as the sun rose through the glass walls of the bank. For the first time in decades, my phone was quiet. No demands. No guilt. No fear. Just silence. A year later, I live in a place filled with light. I paint on weekends. I sleep through the night. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. I don't. Because revenge isn't about punishment. Sometimes, it's about ending the story. And finally choosing yourself.